The doctors said, look, there's probably a strong chance you'll never play sport again. I don't want to be the fit guy with no money. I don't want to be the business guy with no fitness. I want to be the complete package in every aspect of life. Teachers actually said, you're a really good kid, but we don't think you're smart enough to be able to go to university, given what your grades are. By the time I was mid-30s, I didn't have to ever work another day again.
Whatever you want, you can have, but there is a price to pay.
Your body gives up before your mind does. You've always got more than what you think you've got. Your network is your net worth. It's the best filmmakers, the best coaches. If you surround yourself with just the best people, it's so much easier to be successful and to get where you want to go. If you're hanging around a bunch of morons and idiots, you're not going to probably get to where you need to go. Every man should have a strong body. Every man should take pride being strong. If you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, you need people around you that are going to help get you there.
If you're new here, my name is Nelson, and I'm the host of the Creative Grit podcast, a space committed to help all creative entrepreneurs level up, get to the next level in life, find success in every area of life. My name is Nelson, by the way, and I own a video production business as well called Vice Creative. Before we get into it, I just want to ask you one thing. I haven't been asked this before. I normally leave it to the very end, but this is becoming very important. I need you to go leave a review on Apple Podcasts if you enjoyed this episode. If you're digging the pod, if you've been listening to every episode and you haven't done a review for us, please give the extra mile, because this really helps me understand who's listening to the podcast and if people are really enjoying what we're talking about, and just to show to the guests, like, hey, people are really digging what we're doing, and they will be even more keen to come on the podcast. We normally have extraordinary individuals as guests. Today is not exception. Today's guest, he's an entrepreneur. He's a property investor. He's a strength and conditioning coach. He is the owner of Ultimate Sports Performance. Please welcome Brother Joey Hayes.
Great, man. Fantastic to be. Now, that is an introduction like that. I love the sales pitch there. I'd certainly listen to the podcast. I'd certainly give myself at least one like, one follow, and one review. So get out there, do him a favor, and actually make sure you do the review as he's asked for, because, that's going to help the content to keep coming on and to get more guests involved as well. So, mate, thanks for having me.
No, thanks for being here, because I know you have never done a podcast, but as soon as I knew I was going to start this project, one of the first names that came to mind, of course, Brother Joey. He has to come in here. You have so much value to provide, so I'm very stoked that you're here. But Joey, for anyone that is listening right now, they have no idea who you are. Can you tell us your story? Tell us, how have you got to the place that you are today?
Yeah, my name is Joey Hayes, and I'm the owner of Ultimate Sports Performance. And basically what we do is we make athletes' dreams a reality. So young athletes, professional athletes, athletes of all ages and abilities, they come and see us, and we help make them become the best version of themselves they can be. So we look after their physical preparation from every aspect, from head to toe, their strength, their speed, their power, their flexibility, their endurance, their mental skills, their nutrition, their supplementation, their recovery. We are a one-stop shop. I've been coaching for now onwards of 25 years. Wow. So I started when I was 16. I suffered a pretty bad injury, and one of the coaches at the point in time said, hey, Joey, rather than sitting on the sidelines feeling sorry for yourself, why don't you come in and do some coaching? And realised that I really enjoyed the football coaching, but sort of my strengths led down to the physical preparation side of things. And so backlog on the story, I suffered a pretty severe injury. I dislocated both my shoulders and had to have reconstructive surgery at the age of 15. Put me out for a little while, for about a year. And then the doctors said, look, there's probably a strong chance you'll never play sport again, given the serious nature of your injuries. And obviously when you're 15, there was no internet, there was no self-help or personal development resources available. And basically, if you're 15, you're told that your sporting dreams are going to be taken away from you. You've pretty much identified as an athlete your entire life. You haven't really been doing that well at school. You're like, I'm going to play football. I was a fairly talented junior athlete. I was competing at the national level for athletics in track and field, believe it or not, shot put and high jump. I don't know how that came about because I'm not the biggest unit running around. And then also at national level for AFL football. So basically in one foul swoop, suffered a pretty significant hit on the footy field and dislocated both my shoulders and landed on my neck, and ended up in the doctor's ward and in the surgeon's office. And they said, mate, we need to operate. And yeah, basically at the time, my parents, there was no sports insurance like there is now for young athletes. And my mother and father basically mortgaged their property for me to allow me to undergo bilateral shoulder reconstructive surgery, pay for the hospital bills, the anaesthetist bills, the surgeon's bills, the doctor's bills, the physio bills, the sports psychology bills, to give me an opportunity to play sport at the highest level. And basically the doctor said, look, you've had, the damage is that bad, you may not be able to have the full use of your shoulders again. And as a young man, that's pretty much your livelihood. You're surfing, you're playing football, you're playing cricket. And to have someone say that to you, it's quite shattering. You're like, I was going to be an AFL footballer, and my dreams have literally been taken away from me in an instant. So once I was told that, you kind of settle with that, and you're like, well, I don't want to live my life just in that regard. I want to actually see if I can have a crack at it. And then did all my rehab stuff, came back, played another 6 games of football, and then dislocated both my shoulders again.
Damn it.
After 12 months of rehab, and then went and had more surgery again, and then was going to come back and ended up coming back again. So that was after my 3rd lot of surgery. And then was coming on was driving back from Brisbane from a massage, believe it or not, and got rear-ended coming off the Pacific motorway. And basically, the lady smashed up the back of me, and I dislocated my shoulder again. And my cervical spine and lumbar spine had some major disc issues there, and kind of realised, well, look, I don't know whether me trying to go back to play football is the smartest thing. And since that moment, I basically devoted my entire life to being able to rehabilitate my own injuries and to make sure no athletes would go through what I went through. And that was the wheels that were set in motion for the man you see today. And from that moment onwards, every waking moment was spent reading, studying, researching, trialing and trying every different rehab technique, strength conditioning technique, supplement, flexibility, different modality known to man. I was at university doing exercise science, which was kind of a surprise because given my grades in high school, I wasn't really the best student. And the teachers actually said, look, Joseph, you're a really good kid, but we don't think you're smart enough to be able to go to university, given what your grades are. And, again, you've got these mentors or role models that you take and respect, and they're telling you that you can't do something, and you're kind of like, oh, well, they're adults, they must know. But as you become an adult yourself, you realise that a lot of these people often have their own dreams and insecurities have been squashed and shattered as well. So they then transpose their failures onto you. Mm-hmm. So what I realised was that the power of the mind is a really powerful thing, and that I'd never really been tested as a man, especially as a young man. And I thought, you know what? I've never really tried at school. Imagine what would happen if I actually tried and applied myself. So the same work ethic I had regarding my football, I then applied those same concepts to my schoolwork, and I studied my backside off and got good enough grades to get into medicine. And then basically went to exercise science and thought I wanted to become a physiotherapist. And I went and did 2 days of prac work with a physiotherapist, and I was bored out of my brains. I'm like, where's the fucking athletes? Like they're all older people, all older geriatric sort of non-active participants in society. And there was a lady that was about 88 years of age up on the physio table, and they said, oh, Joey, we want you to do some hands-on treatment on her. This is my 2nd day in the physio practice. And they're like, we need you to rub her inner thighs. And I said, I'm out. I said, you can't pay me enough for this. I said, this wasn't in the contract. I was like, you want me to rub her inner thighs because I've got to loosen up her adductors because they're pulling on a kneecap, which is pulling. I said, no, I'm done. This is not for me. So went back, and at that point in time, I'd begun doing some work with a strength and conditioning coach from the Queensland Reds, and he was designing my rehabilitation program for my shoulders. And I remember the day my mother was driving me because I couldn't drive because it's in 2 blue slings. It's hard to drive a car when you're in 2 blue slings. I can't drive with my legs. I can, but I can't. And then we were driving up to see the strength and conditioning coach from the Queensland Reds rugby union team, who was really good with shoulders. And my mother, it was about $150 a program back in 2001. And my mother goes, she goes, Joseph. Well, yes, Mum. She goes, you could do this. And I thought, I could. I could do this. And then pretty much I learned from this guy. I saw the programs, and literally the guy's program put maybe 3.5 kilos on me in about 6 weeks. So I learned the power of the strength and conditioning work. And back in 2001, there wasn't really a strength and conditioning industry or even a PT industry, at least on the Gold Coast, not compared to what it's like now. And pretty much from that day, yeah, I was in my exercise science and I was about halfway through my degree, and I had an opportunity. I was doing so well with my grades that there was an opportunity to be able to get involved in a master's program in strength and conditioning. So it was the master's degree in exercise science, specializing in strength and conditioning. I was like, all my dreams had come true. I was so happy I got accepted in this program, and I was the youngest guy in the history, I think, to actually complete that degree. So all this research I was doing at Griffith in my undergraduate, I'd go to the library, I'd get out all the strength and conditioning books, I'd get out they actually had VHSs back then, that's how old I am. And I'd get all the VHSs out, I'd get all the nutrition books, and every time that the semester would end, I'd literally just go and get those books, read and research, and just be on it 24/7. And I was actually thinking about this the other day. I'd actually be coaching or reading for between 10 to 15 hours a day minimum. That's how passionate I was about the industry, because I realised that I read somewhere that to be an expert, you need to read 5 hours a day every day for 3 years. And I thought, well, fuck, if I do 15 hours a day, I'll be an expert in a year. So literally just read and studied everything. And then from that place onwards, I travelled around the world seeking out the best coaches, the best sports scientists, best strength conditioning coaches, best physiotherapists, best functional medicine doctors to develop my system I've got today. And I travelled to every AFL club between 2000 and 2015 that won a premiership to go and see what they were doing, how they were doing it, what their systems were like. And pretty much got started at the Brisbane Lions between 2001 and 2004. And I know you probably weren't in Australia, you probably weren't even born then, but basically the Brisbane Lions won 3 consecutive premierships, and they had the best coach, Lee Matthews. They had the best medical staff, Victor Popov and Peter Stanton. They had the best strength and conditioning staff. They had the best tackling coaches. They had the best sports psychologist, Phil Jauncey. Cliff Mallard as the speed coach. And they literally had the best team assembled in the history of the AFL. And they went on to win 3 consecutive premierships, 4 grand finals. So I was lucky as an 18, 19-year-old, being able to see what the best of the best were doing. And they had like 3 Brownlow medalists. They had all Australian players. They were all big units. And it was such an intimidating environment for such a young man to be in. But I just saw what it took to be elite. I saw what elite coaching looks like, what elite rehab looks like. I saw guys that were all on the same page, that knew exactly, they had clarity exactly how they were going to play the game. And I'd go to other AFL clubs and I'd be like, oh, well, these guys, they're nowhere near it. They're so far off it, because I'd seen what the best of the best had done. And I always thought that if I wanted to be the best in my field and, really have mastery in those areas, I'd have to learn from the best people. So I went out and sought out the people that I'd considered to be the best. Now, when I talk about the best, that would be the best physiotherapists like Victor Popov. He's a great friend of mine. He's pushing close to late 60s. He's been at the AIS. He's looked after the Russian cycling team. He's looked after the best cyclists on the Tour de France, the best AFL players. Like, he's a gun. He's in the top 1% in his field. So if I'm going to learn from someone, that's a person I want to learn from, because he's done it in the real world. My business coach, who you are going to have on this podcast, Brendan Nichols.
Yes, he's
Brendan
a legend.
Nichols. I met him. So I was about 23, cruising through Coolangatta Airport, and when you're young, you want to get your guns out. So I had like a black t-shirt on with my biceps popping out, and the t-shirt was about 6 sizes too fucking small, so you look like you're jacked. You guys know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. And I'm literally cruising through the airport. I've got the pillow under one arm, because obviously sleep's important, and I've got a protein shake in the other, and I'm trapping through there. I've got imaginary lat syndrome, cruising past the airport, eyeballing everyone up and down. I'm cruising to the airport. I'm going to a seminar for property investing in Melbourne. And I sit down beside this bloke, and this guy goes, oh, you look pretty fit, mate. What do you do? And I said, I'm Australia's best and highest paid strength and conditioning coach. What do you do?
Such a good business presentation.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, that's nice. He goes, I'm Australia's best and highest paid business coach. I said, you're kidding me. I said, we might be doing some work together in the future. And he looks at me and goes, have you got a business card? And I look at him, I'm like, I don't do business cards, mate. If you want my phone number, you're going to write it down now. So he's just sitting there like, he's taking it back. He's like, really?
Yeah.
And anyway, long story short, it turns out that Brendan was actually presenting at that property investing seminar on business. And we ended up catching up after the event, and he's like, mate, I've had I'm a mad keen skier and I'm a mad keen surfer. But he goes, I've had a couple of knee reconstructions and I haven't been able to get the full use of my knee. Can you help me? I'm like, of course I can help you. Yeah. So he came down, and this is when I was training people out of my garage. Came down to my garage and I told him about my unique system that was in 2006. And I said, oh, mate, I've got a training system that you only got to do, 45 minutes 3 times a week. You get the afterburn effect and all these things that he'd never heard of before. He's like, you mean he goes, I've been training 2 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I'm like, mate, and as a business consultant or coach, he's into efficiency. So I'm like, mate, what if I could get you triple the results in a quarter of the time? I said, how much would you pay me? So he writes out a check for $50,000 and he goes, mate, what did this get me? I said, 2 sessions. he just laughed. And I said, he goes, well, Joey, I can pay you that. Or he goes, mate, I've got a thing called the Wealth Mastermind Club happening over in Vanuatu at the end of the year. He goes, you're welcome to come along as a guest. And he goes, I've got, some really high net worth business people that you could probably learn from that would probably want to come and train with you. So at the time, mate, I just bought my house. I think the GFC was just kicking in. Interest rates were going up. I really needed the money, but something just said to me, I was like, you know what? I actually think it's going to be a better investment if I go to this seminar with Brendan.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
Stop. Because people are going to listen to it and they'll be like, wait, what? Yeah. So he wrote you a check for $50,000 and basically gave you the option.
Yeah.
You either take this money right now or you just come and play the long game, meet high net worth individuals and just connect with it and see what happens.
Yeah. And as a 20-something-year-old, that 50,000 was very attractive. But I thought, this guy, when I saw him present, I'm like, this guy speaks like no one else speaks. And his knowledge about business and his wisdom about life and people in general is phenomenal. I'm just like, and then once I got to know Brendan, I saw the balance that he had with his life. Like, he's the only guy I've ever met. And that's why the only guy I've ever met that's had 10 out of 10 for his physical health, 10 out of 10 for his financial health, 10 out of 10 for his relationships with his wife and his kids, and 10 out of 10 for his spiritual health. And I'm like, that's how I want to live my life, and I want to be a role model, and I want to be a role model for my athletes, and I want to have a life like that. There was no jealousy. It was just like, that was the standard that had been set for me as a 25-year-old. And I'm like, I can do it. And I'm helping him achieve his goals in his physical sense. And the guy's pushing like mid-70s. I looked at his blood work yesterday. He's healthier than most 20-year-olds. He just got back from skiing in Italy for like 2 months. He goes to G-Land surfing 10 to 15-foot waves. How many 70-plus-year-old blokes do you know that are doing that?
Oh, not many.
And that are doing, and with regards to how he structured his business, he wasn't working 24/7. He was the most efficient with his business that I ever saw. So I'm like, I want his life. I don't want to be the fit guy with no money. I don't want to be the business guy with no fitness. I want to be the complete package in every aspect of life. I want to be the modern day Renaissance man, because who wants to be the fat rich guy? Or who wants to be the lonely rich guy? Who wants to be the poor fit guy? Or the spiritually evolved guy that's at Byron that has no money, that doesn't be able to speak to people, that has no relationships. So
that by the way resonates so much with me, and with the biggest purpose of this podcast is to literally help creative entrepreneurs and anyone else that wants to jump on the train to just tackle every area of life and bring it to a 10. Because I think a lot of people are just... So one of our last guests was talking a bit about this, like most people just live like a 7 out of 10 life. You know, it's not terrible, but it's not great. So, and that's a dangerous spot to be. And I told her that has a name. It's called actually the region beta paradox. And it's basically a place in which it's very dangerous place because you don't have enough pain to motivate you to change. So you stay trapped. You're in your job and, you know, you get paid whatever, $100K a year. You hate your boss, but they still give you maybe, they let you work once a day from home. You have some flexibility around it. So it's not terrible, but it's not great. So because you don't have enough motivation, you never change. You always stay the same and you always think about the possibilities, but you're too scared. So for those people, you will almost be better if things were worse. Yeah. Because then you will actually take action. So in here, I just want to show people by having people like you on the podcast that, hey, it is possible to live a 10 out of 10 life in every aspect. Because I thought for a long time, I thought that was impossible. And a lot of people that are average people told me like, oh no, if you go this route, like, that means you won't have great relationships. Or if you get the money, that means you'll probably end up fat. Or if you go to fitness, you cannot get a lot of money. And I'm not saying it's easy. I'm saying it's possible because I've seen it enough times to know that you can be fit, you can be wise, you can have a strong network, you can have great relationships, and you can be making bank.
100%, mate. And I asked, again, I don't want to defer to him too much, but I said to Brendan, I said, mate, how do you achieve, because we talk about mastery, and people, when you talk to most people about mastery, they've got no concept of what mastery means. And mastery means that you know a subject inside out and back to front. You know everything about everything. So me with strength and conditioning, for the first 20 years of my life, I devoted every waking moment, every resource, every ounce of energy I had to mastering my craft. And that came from a place of fear, because I wanted to make sure that if I had an athlete in front of me, I would never be found to be incompetent. I knew about nutrition, I knew about recovery, I knew about injury rehab, I knew about performance enhancement, I knew about supplementation, I knew about strength, speed, power, everything. And that came to mastery in that area. And then what I realized was that, like what you said before, how now that I've got mastery in fitness and health and wellness, and my body's great, I've got my own health sorted, financially, that was an area that needed to be worked upon. So there's an old saying that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Brendan pops up. My business, business was going along right. My personal skills were fantastic with what I was doing, but the business wasn't as profitable as what it could be. Then all of a sudden, who do I meet? Brendan's physical health wasn't in the area that it needed to be in. Who did he meet? Like attracts like. When I met you, Joe, I need a video guy because my normal Nelson, I need a video guy because my normal guy's off doing, professional stuff overseas. And all of a sudden, look what pops up. So the law of attraction and that mastery. So I said to Brendan, I said, mate, how do you have mastery in so many areas of your life? He said, well, Joey, like what you said before, Nelson, most people might operate at a 6 or a 7 in most areas. So you're not really elite, but you're not too bad. And there's not enough pain there to be able to progress through to be elite. And you might not be willing to do the work to be elite. But he said, look, there's points in time. He goes, whatever aspect of my life needs work. So, Joe, when I met you, it was my physical side. When I met Brendan, it was my financial side. So he goes, there'll be an area, and you just go, that's the area that needs my focus. And then you bring it up. But when you bring it up, there's other. So if you're solely focused on your fitness, maybe your business might take a bit of a back seat. Mm-hmm. But then when your fitness is sorted, then you can focus because you've got more energy, more vitality, you can then focus back on your business. Mm-hmm. So I said, you're never usually operating at 10 out of 10 for everything, but you can keep pushing one up, the other one up, the other one up, but you're probably not going to be able to bring everything up all at the same time. Like if I said, Nelson, mate, I'm going to make you an AFL footballer, but you've got to stop doing your business stuff. It's probably not going to happen because you haven't got the resource to devote to that without dropping other aspects of your life. So that mastery was a really key concept. And then the people you meet, like I had a client so then I realized that all financially successful people I met did one of two things. They had a business. So I looked at what the common things were for the most successful people financially. None of them were usually employees. They all owned businesses, and they used the business and they invested the money from business into real estate or shares. It was simple. It wasn't sexy. So I thought, okay, I've got to get some real estate. So bought the first house I saw, saved up for like 5 years for the deposit, bought the first house I saw, and I'm like, I can have my gym out of here. So I'll have a place to live, and then I've got my gym. I can use my gym in the garage. So that worked really, really well because, and again, I had no idea about real estate. Didn't know how interest rates worked. Didn't know what LVRs are. Didn't know what lender's mortgage insurance was. Didn't know what rates were. Didn't know what water bills were. And all of a sudden, you're like a young 20-year-old, and you got a bloody you got a $500,000 mortgage, and you got bills you got to make. You got to So I never had a holiday for the first 10 years of business because everyone else is in their 20s and just cruising around having fun. I'm losing my hair, going out the door backwards, trying to figure out how I can make ends meet to be able to pay off the debt that I'd incurred. But now it actually put me in a better position. And then through Brennan, he referred me a client who was a water skier, and we helped him become an Australian water ski champion. He'll be on your podcast as well. His name's Marty Ailes, and Marty Ailes is one of the best property developers in Australia. He lives in Adelaide. He's coming up here next Thursday, so I might be able to get him in here for you.
Yeah, sick.
And he said to me, I helped rehabilitate his back injury, and he became an Australian champion, went over the world titles and won the world championship. And he said, Joey, it's because of your training that happened. And I never ever once spoke to him about property. Likewise with Brendan, I never spoke to him about his business stuff. I gave my clients 100% focus and attention on them. And I knew that if I gave them the results they were looking for, they would then give me possible access to those beautiful big brains of theirs in their particular areas of expertise. So it's 2011. I just split up with the ex-girlfriend. I was like, you know what? I just want to be a kid. I'm just going to sell the house. The market had dropped, so I was probably going to lose about 200 grand on the house. So that's a nice little hole. And Marty called me out of the blue. He goes, Joey, he goes, mate, I just had a feeling to call you. And he goes, oh, mate, you know, if you ever have any questions about your property stuff, you know, you can call me. And I said, oh, mate, I've had enough, mate. I've had the property for, you know, half a decade. It's gone down by 200 grand. Mate, I just want to be a kid, mate. All my mates are going overseas. They're partying. They're going overseas. You know, they've got wild stories. And here I am as a mid-20-year-old, like a 60-year-old with a mortgage and, you know, doing stuff that adults do. I just want to be a kid. And he goes, you never, ever sell your property. He goes, mate, you're young enough. You hold on to that thing. And then basically, we went down, me, Brendan, and Marty went down to Sydney to go and watch one of my clients play, which is Kurt Tippett, an AFL footballer for Sydney Swans. And I sat down with Marty in Bondi, and he goes, Joey, he goes, do you really want to get your finances sorted? I said, yeah. He goes, how committed? I said, mate, I'll do anything. I said, I want to be like you boys, like, because Marty's 10 years older than me, and he's financially free, and he's probably worth 20 or 30 mil. He's doing all right. And he goes, Joey, this is what you're going to do. He goes, normally I charge hundreds of thousands of dollars. He goes, I've told so many people they can do this, but they never can do it. And I said, mate, I'll never disrespect you by not doing what you recommend me do. Okay, because I know you got my best interest at heart. You're not making any money out of me. So he drew up this plan on a back of a napkin. He goes, this is what you're going to do for the property. You're going to knock it down. You're going to put 6 units on there. I'm like, mate, I'm not a developer. I'm a strength and conditioning coach. He goes, no, I'll walk you through it. He goes, you're going to get the council certification and approval. You're going to get the town plan. You're going to get the draftsman to draw up the plan, the architect, and this is how you're going to do it. And I was like, mate, 6 units on one. So I literally spent, from 2013 to 2023, which is now pretty much the last decade, kind of focused more on the passive income side of things with property rather than growing my business, because I realized that with the strength and conditioning, I love the business. I'm so passionate about it. I get paid to coach people. It's the best gig in the world, but I realize it's not a passive income. And because I don't have a lot of employees and I don't have membership websites or, you know, selling apps and ebooks and stuff like that, the passive income was going to come from my properties. So Marty sort of showed me how to do these particular developments. Every day I'd be on the phone to him. The poor bastard. I'm like, mate, send me an invoice, bro. The amount of time I spent on the phone, the amount of time I spent on the phone to the council. I literally had maybe 65 quotes from every different builder on the Gold Coast to get these units built. And they ranged from, like, you know, the variance in price was massive, but that allowed me to get set up, and I figured out this particular development structure works really well on the Gold Coast and repeated that a couple of times. And it put me in a position where by the time I was mid-30s, I didn't have to ever work another day again, which gave me it gave me freedom to do what I want, to learn, to grow and evolve, and to be the best human I could be. So I'm not constrained by the day-to-day living costs that most people have. And again, that was not because I was super smart, but it came back to my network. And I know you're big on this as well. Your network is your net worth. And the guys I've got you've met half the guys at the Breakfast for Champions. You know, you got builders, you got lawyers, you got importers, you got exporters, you got developers, you've got mental skills coaches, you've got professional athletes, you've got what the fuck does Kirk do? you've got guys that can give you. You've got guys that can make you lucky. Yeah. You've got all these guys in your network that you can, and it's not just about what they can do for you, but it's so powerful. And it's taken me 35 years to develop that contact of networks in the medical field. So I think that any of my friends that, like with yourself, mate, I met you. What did I do with you? I'm like, Nelson, mate, you got some great skills. You got some great energy. I want you to come and meet my guys. So you've now been able to tap into that network of people because I love your energy, I love your vibe. And as Brendan said, he goes, with all due respect, you give me a guy like Nelson, he's going to be a millionaire. No, he's going to be a multi-millionaire 10 times over because he's got the hunger. And maybe that's part of the challenge in Australia is that, and you're aware of this as well, that everything comes so easy to Australians. You get free university. I'm grateful. I had free university. I'm paying back the HECS debt. You've got welfare. You've got the dole, you've got free education, you get given everything so easily. But when you get given things so easily, it doesn't develop resilience. Maybe there's a bit of disrespect, and maybe there's some malaise or complacency where if you just work hard and you work smart, it's quite easy to be successful. And you've found that as well, because you've grown your business from zero to hundreds of thousands of dollars a year just because you're willing to do the work that no one else is willing to do. And I've seen the same thing with athletes. And it's getting easier to become more successful if you've got the right people around you and if you're willing to work hard. So yeah,
it's making a decision, and the word decide means killing every other option. So are you willing to make the commitment? Are you willing to sacrifice and do whatever it takes to get there? I'm willing to do whatever it takes to become financially free, just like you, just like Brandon. I belong there. I feel like I'm already there. It just hasn't manifested yet in the physical world. But I'm also prepared for the long game. I wanted to make it happen as quick as possible. That's why I wake up every day at 5 a.m. to grind, and to get things done. And yes, to work hard, but also find ways to work smart. That's why I have a coach now as well, just like you used to have before, because I'm so ready for the next level and I'm willing to pay the price. And I've been paying the price for 7 years now, not seeing my family on the other side of the world and a few other things that are very important to me, but I just understand that there's a price to pay. Whatever you want, you can have, but there is a price to pay.
100%.
And I want to show people, because I wish when I was in my early 20s that I had someone like you or access to even someone like me to just start laying down all these ideas and show me what it was possible. So back then I was just completely trapped in the system, just having this little voice inside telling me that life could get better, that why are those people making money online and making videos and this and that, like I could be doing that, but it just felt almost impossible. It really felt impossible back then. I think my mindset even wasn't prepared to acknowledge that was possible for me. Back then, I still needed to do so much personal development and mindset work. So yeah, this platform is basically here to accelerate your journey if you want to get to the highest level of life. Joey, you are surrounded by elite individuals, not only your athletes, your social network, everything. What have you found are like the common traits of the people that operate at the highest level?
That is a fantastic question. And I have looked at those athletes and I like to analyze their unique character traits. And I go through this with all my new athletes that come through my program and system. I go, look, for 25 years, I've been able to not produce, but also produce and work with some of the country's most elite athletes. You're looking at world champions, gold medalists, world record holders, guys that were delisted to drafted. Athletes are still dominating at 35 years of age. And I guess the most important thing is they've all got an amazing work ethic. I've never met anyone that's been lazy. Like all those athletes, they've all got a great work ethic. The athletes that never succeeded, the ones that thought they were better than what they were lazy or they got complacent. So the number one thing is a work ethic. Without a work ethic, you may as well give up the ghost. So that's number one, work ethic. They've all had high levels of dissatisfaction, which means that they weren't happy with where they were at. If you're complacent, as you said before, I'm happy with a 7 out of 10. They hate to lose, but they're not there. They've all had their motivations and intentions for becoming the best athlete they can be. It was never financial. It was always a internal drive and internal motivation to be the best they could be, to explore how good they could be. Like what you said before, I want to see if I'm good enough to make money in this industry. I want to see whether I'm good enough to be the best. It was all about that self-exploration. It wasn't about getting medals or anything. It was just to see how far they could go and how far they could push it, to see how far they could push their body. Physically, mentally, and just, I'd say, and I was having a chat to Courtney Hancock this morning, I said, the life of an elite athlete is so boring. It's predictable. You wake up every day at 5 a.m., you eat your breakfast that's healthy breakfast, you go and train, you do your recovery work, you eat your post-workout nutrition, you go and train again, you have a nap. It's predictability, it's boring, it's the same thing day in, day out, and it's consistency. It's consistently a boring life. You go to bed at 8 o'clock at night, you wake up and you repeat, because champions are not made overnight. It's day after day, week after week, year after year. It's like that Kaizen principle, you know what I mean? Like, Small incremental improvements over long periods of time lead to massive improvements over long periods of time. And if for every day you get 1% better, you're 365% better in a year. And if you just keep compounding that, it compounds. And then also, because you see those results coming and happening, you're less likely to fuck it up by not sleeping well, by cheating on your diet, by going out and sinking piss. Like, they see those results and they just keep consistent, and they love the results. They want to keep doing the work because they know that if everything they do is either moving them towards their goal or taking them away from it. So every time you miss a meal, every time you don't sleep the appropriate number of hours, you're ripping into your performance gains. It's as simple as that. You know, we've got such amazing things to track athletes now with like the Oura Ring and the Whoop Band, and we can get their data in the gym to see how fast and explosive they are every session. So it's consistency. It's boring because people think, oh, you know, the life of an elite athlete is so glamorous. You know, they get invited out to so many different things, but it's the things that they say no to with their time that actually make them elite and successful. I think I covered most of the stuff there. So yeah, consistency, they're boring.
yeah, they are.
I mean?
And from the people I've met as well in so far in my lifetime, like every elite athlete has those traits that you're describing. And they just have this, it's like myself as well. Like I have this hunger that cannot be stopped. You know, like I'm willing to do whatever it takes to win. I'm also patient. You know, if someone wins a battle today, I'm just thinking about the war. You know, you're thinking about the battle. I'm thinking about the
long
war,
game, baby.
You know, so it's been there for the long game. I wanted to ask you as well. Obviously, you are into helping all these individuals to achieve the highest level they can. What are some of the best habits that people can implement right now that you would say, like, look, it doesn't matter if you're aiming to be an elite athlete or elite in business or anything like that. These are, in your experience, some of the best habits you can implement to become a champion.
Sleep. It's I know everyone talks about grinding and, you know, they doing, you know, massive hours and stuff, and I think initially in business you have to put in the hours, but I think I know that the number one thing that dictates your performance is not just your training, but it's your sleep. And if you're not sleeping well, if you're not recovering well, your clarity, your focus, your energy levels are going to be shot. You're reaching for the coffee, you're falling asleep at 2:00. So if you're a business person and you're not sleeping well, you're killing your creativity. You're also decreasing your health, because we know that if you're not sleeping well, you decrease your life expectancy. You get fatter because your cortisol levels are higher. If you're sleeping better, your hormone levels are going to be optimized. You're going to lay down new muscle. You can decrease your body fat. So sometimes one of the sneaky things we do with some of our executive clients that are flying in from overseas, just get their sleep right, and their body composition improves dramatically because they're sleeping better. So they'll look like, hey, Joey, like, you know, my body fat on my abdominals has gone down. And they're like, how's that happen? We haven't even done anything with the diet. They've just slept better. So we recommend waking up and going to sleep at the same time every day, making sure you're not, I know it's challenging, not looking at a computer or not looking at a phone before you go to bed, 2 hours before bed, not having large, massive meals, making sure your room is like pitch black. So my room is like got this bedroom blackout, like it's literally like Dracula's cave. You can't see anything in there, you can't see your hand. Make sure your temperature of your room is between 18 and 21 degrees. So number one thing is the sleep. Like the amount of people that have said, Joey, since my sleep's improved, the quality of my life, the quality of my interactions. And we know that people that don't sleep, they have major psychological, like they can think called, when you sleep, you've got a thing called psychogenic regeneration, which basically allows your brain to recover. Your immune system is better, you don't get sick as much, you've got better focus, better energy, better attention. Guys that don't sleep more than 6 hours a night, on average have testosterone levels that are 10 years their senior. You know, you would have seen Dr. Matt Walker talk about that. He's the expert in sleep.
By the way, you should definitely read that book. Good. If you're thinking sleep is not that important, not that important, you 100% need to read Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker.
Yeah, so you want to make sure you're sleeping, because even with professional athletes, like that's the number one thing. We all have to do it, but some people don't do it that well. So if we can do it optimally, it's going to make a massive improvement to our overall health. And again, if you don't sleep, you're likely to consume more calories, which makes you going to get fatter over time. Guys with the dad bods typically don't sleep as well, so that's why they start storing more body fat. They start losing their muscle mass. So that sleep is number one. Plenty of water, which means I'm going to have a drink now. Reverse osmosis, UV filtered water. Thanks.
water pulse.
And hydration. I just did a video on that a couple of years ago, I think, about hydration in terms of being hydrated. A lot of people don't actually drink enough water, so they then have, they get headaches, their cellular communication is inhibited, they're dehydrated, their stools aren't passing as well. So basics, mate. And then sunlight, brother. We live here on the Gold Coast.
Yes.
We're in a dark, dingy room. You got to get outside, go and enjoy, get some vitamin D. Vitamin D keeps, and these are all basic things that we can all do. They don't cost you any money.
Yeah.
Then obviously, you want to get some fresh air. Make sure you got your air circulated through your house. Keep your windows open. Go down to the beach, take in those beautiful, beautiful salt air. Oxygen, air, water, and diet. Diet's obviously one of the things that a lot of people, there's so many different dietary camps now. Are you paleo? Are you ancestral? Are you primal? Are you eating liver? Are you not eating liver? Are you vegan? Are you dairy? Are you pescatarian? So just eat real food. Avoid anything that comes in a packet or a box, anything that's processed. We have a saying, if you can shoot it, kill it, or grow it, you can eat it. Because football is like, Joey, what can I eat? What's protein, mate? Yeah. I'm like, protein, and I'm like, how can I summarize this so a 2-year-old would understand? Because some of them, they're not the sharpest tools in the shed. Yeah. They know that. So I'm like, you can eat it if it swims, flies, runs, or you can grow it. Yeah. So one of the guys looks at me and goes, McDonald's? Hamburger runs? And I'm like, oh my God, you guys are just, you guys are off tap. So lots of fruits and vegetables.
Nice.
Lots of lean proteins, lots of healthy nuts and healthy fats, That's, and good butters. That's what you're designed to eat, If it comes in a packet or it's processed, people in the supermarket, protein and produce. So we say, P plus P equals P. This is algebraic equations for nutrition. If you go to the supermarket, you see that most of the packaged and processed stuff in the supermarket is in the middle. So if you stick to the protein and produce, it's in the periphery. So just shop on the outside of the supermarket. You'll be sweet. And I know you have a background. Do people know that you actually have a background as a dentist?
I haven't done a full in-depth podcast about myself just yet.
Okay, all right, okay. I don't want to give too much away. Sorry, guys.
I mentioned it before that I
studied
dentistry.
How important is oral health on overall health? Because people, when I have athletes, I actually look at, it sounds weird, I'm like, do you guys have any fillings? Show me your gum health. Because we know that back in the olden days, when they were buying slaves, it's probably politically incorrect, but they would look at their gums to see if their gums were healthy. Because if their gums were healthy, you could tell that particular
they were probably
slave,
going to be strong.
they were going to be strong. Yeah. So now with athletes, if they've got a lot of feelings or their gums are unhealthy or their teeth are bad, I get them to go and see a holistic dentist up north, because I realise that the impact of inflammation can have in the mouth and overall health and performance. Yeah. So people, that's another area that, we've had athletes take out their amalgams and they've improved their aerobic capacity by 7 to 15% just by getting rid of the amalgams, which is a toxin in their mouth. So it's not just strength and conditioning, it's the overall health and performance.
Like you were saying, it's the simple things, man. If you can take care, like you nailed it. To me, you nailed it. Like the sleep, hydration, and sunlight, and you eat healthy to a certain degree. You can even have your cheat day every now and then. But like those, if you take care of those 3 things, sleep is massive, man. That's why I'm able to operate at the highest level every day. Yes, I wake up at 5, but guess what? My ass is on bed by 8:30. Like at 9, I'm asleep. So I get my 8 hours every day.
Perfect.
So like, don't underestimate the power of the little things. And just adding something to the dentistry side of things, your mouth as well, dude. Please be sure that you're brushing your teeth
and floss.
Yeah,
and floss
as well, dude. You don't want to be missing teeth. Nobody gives a fuck about teeth until you miss one. Like then you'll give a fuck about it, because it's like your presentation later when you go and shake a hand to someone. One of the first things you do is you smile. Teeth, imagine if you're missing a couple of teeth in there. So definitely take care of that. And not only that, like if you have a bad hygiene, like you were saying, that's usually related to other issues, systemic problems that you can have. Strokes, take it seriously, and you don't want to go on a date and be talking to a girl close and suddenly she's like, you're not taking me home today because you didn't brush your teeth, mate.
But it's simple stuff like that people don't realise. But obviously when I figured out and I realised the importance of oral health, it's like, started actually asking my athletes, have they got, root canals and stuff like that? Because again, my research with root canals suggests that it's not the most optimal thing to have decaying matter left in your body. You should pretty much take that stuff out. So oral health, then obviously, you know, the weight training is such a massive part as well. Like, you know, for bone health, for longevity, you know, for falls prevention, especially as people get older. But, you know, looking good and feeling good, the hormonal cascade that comes as a result of lifting weights and getting moving. Like, what do they say? That sitting is the new smoking, like getting off your butt, because so many people now are parked in front of the computer. You know, so just getting out and moving and doing what you're designed to win. You're designed to move. You're not designed to sit in a dark room
like a shrimp in there.
in a dark room for like, you know, 16 hours a day. You're designed to locomote. You're designed to move. You're not designed to be sedentary. So you want to use the beautiful things that you've been given, you know, because, you know, one of the stories, I had an executive come up from Sydney, and he was keen to work with us. I figured out he'd seen like 16 other coaches or trainers. And he came to see me on the referral of another business guy that had seen me. And I said, what's the difference between like doing stuff with me and doing stuff with the other coaches you've seen? He goes, well, Joe, you don't care who I am. This guy, you would know him if you see him. He's like a very famous guy. He's got his own private jet. He goes, you don't care who I am. He said, my money's irrelevant to you. I said, exactly right. So I said, but here's what we're going to do. This is called the blackmail diet. You heard of this one before?
No.
The blackmail diet. So this guy, I said, mate, I said, you're all about money, mate. He's like, yeah, I'm all about money. I said, well, this is what we're going to do. I've got my lawyer, Tom Force, who just lives down the road from me. He's going to draft up a contract. So if we don't achieve the goals, if you don't drop X amount of body fat in the next 12 weeks, you're going to donate 25% of your net worth to the charity of my choice. And the guy starts laughing. He goes, oh, yeah, whatever. I said, I'm fucking serious. His jaw dropped. And he's like, I'm like, no, well, come on, mate. Let's put your money where your mouth is. So literally within 8 weeks, that guy achieved his goal, signed the contract and everything. And, you know, he's one of my best mates. You haven't met him. He's going to come up to one of our breakfasts. But, mate, he's in elite condition. He's like, mate, my wife's happy. You know, my wife's happy. I've got more energy for my kids. But it was just being able to talk to him in a manner that was going to connect. He's like, this guy doesn't care who I am. And he wants me to get the best results possible. He also knows how to put a wager on things to make sure that he's got skin in the game, because I wanted him to get a result. Another client had come up from Melbourne. He didn't want to be there. His wife booked him into this executive program that I had, and pretty much he rocks up and he's like, oh, mate, I don't want to be here. And I just said, I'm like, mate, that's fine. I said, shh, I don't want to hear you whinging. If I want your lip, I'll open my zip. Anyway, I said, mate, get in the car. He's like, what are you doing? I said, just get in my car. So we drove him up to the hospital, the Gold Coast Hospital there. And he's like, mate, I don't want to be here. I don't want to train. You know, I love, you know, doing lines of coke. I love having my reds. You know, I don't want to be here. You know, I'm being forced to do this because of my wife. I'm just doing this to shut her up. And so I drove him to the hospital and I said, get out. Well, what are you doing? I said, I'll park the car, going in a minute. So parked the car, walked him in, walked up, went to the elevator, took him into level 6 at the old Southport Hospital there. And I walked him around, and we were in the children's cancer ward at the Gold Coast Hospital. And I said, look around here. The guy's gone sort of bright white, and I said, mate, you go and tell those kids what you told me. And he's just, eyes start to go red, tears start to come down. I said, well, mate, you've been blessed with a disease-free functional body. What are you doing wasting it away with piss, drugs, ciggies, and a shit diet? Like, these kids would do anything to go outside to play with their friends, to be able to have a disease-free functional body, and here you are wasting it away. Guy comes in, and he's like, mate, that was life-changing. So I guess what we've had to do with some of our clients, and these are high-end executives who don't do this stuff with athletes, but pretty much push them to the brink of breaking to be able to get a snap point and to see how lucky they are and to realise what they've got. That guy's now at our Breakfast for Champions as well, and he's fit, he's healthy, he's got great relationships with his missus, and he said, Joe, if it wasn't for that interaction, I'd probably be dead by now. So it's not just the elite athletes that we've got to work with, it's some of the executives as well, and these guys have got their private jets, and again, it's great having them in their network, but you've also got to know how to communicate with them to get them to change, because they're used to having people that are, I'm not going to say sucking their cock or licking their balls, but they're not used to having people telling them what to do. So you've got to be able to break that pattern and get their respect instantly. I don't know whether I should talk about this one, but I will, because you can always edit it. But we had a guy fly over from the UK. He's got a massive company over there worth £800 million. Yeah, £800 million. And Amon, you haven't met Amon, the mental skills coach. He's going to come on here as well. I'm just doing all the marketing for you boys now. And this guy, lovely fella, like comes over from the UK, and we work with him. And I said to Amon, it was a 3-day package. We put him up at Broadbeach, got him picked up in a limo, had my private chef cooking for him, all great stuff. And I said to Amon, mate, I'm not sure that this guy's, I don't think he's all in. I don't know. I'll guarantee this guy a result. Like, he's paying me 25 grand for the day to get a result. I'm like, I don't know whether I'm connecting with him. And Amon was like, no, it's all good, Joey. And I said to Amon, I told him about the previous story about taking that client to the hospital. So on the third day, we took this client out to the cemetery, out at Alambi Gardens, out at Carrara out there. And we had his wife call him up and his son, because he's all about family. So to get him to change, we had to get the family involved. So we took him out to the cemetery and said, which one are you going to be buried in the next 2 years? And basically, again, he started to tear up. Then his wife called him and said, hey, we love you. We're supporting you. We know Joey and Amon have got your best interest at heart. We know that's really going to help you get you where you need to go. Then his son called up and said, hey, Dad, I love you. I want you to see my grandkids. My grandkids want to see you. They don't want you, if you don't change your dietary habits and your lifestyle, you're not going to be around to see him grow up. So he's one of our biggest success stories. I'm not going to mention his name, but he literally dropped 25 kilos in about 8 or 12 weeks. Very smart guy. Joey, he's a different man. I'll show you the photos offset so you know that I'm not bullshitting. But so it's stuff like that I guess most coaches probably don't have the balls to do, or don't know how to connect with their clients to be able to get them to elicit that change. Because why is it that I can give everyone the same information, but some people get a result and some people don't? Now, all my clients get results, so I'm happy because they go through this process, but it's being able to really get them to have that snap point, like what you spoke of. How do you take someone from a 7 out of 10 in their life to a 10 out of 10? What do you have to do to get them to change? Because you can fucking drag them along, but if they don't want to come with you, they're kicking and screaming. So for me, for my financial situation, my snap point was the fact when my dad had multiple strokes and wasn't able to work, and my mum had an autoimmune disease. They couldn't afford their mortgage, so all of a sudden, as a young bloke, it's on me because I'm the man. I will do whatever it takes to succeed, and I need to learn how to grow a business. I need to learn how to make money. I need to learn how to invest. And obviously now, the situation's entirely different. Like, my mum and dad live in some of my properties. They actually manage my property portfolio for me.
Nice.
So they've been able to use their skill sets. But initially, I think about the burden that was put on myself as a young man. But it's like, look, you and I both subscribe to the same philosophy that as a man, we can make ourselves. We can become anything we want to be through hard work, through discipline, through education, through knowledge, and through skills. We can acquire that stuff. And it's part of being a man, you take that responsibility on board. And you and I have had these discussions off camera that a lot of men now shirk that responsibility and they take the easy way out. It's easy, but I guess as a man, you don't really know yourself till you've been tested. And they say that the more challenges that a man goes through, the better man you get. And I mean, I know you've heard the saying about, strong times create weak men, weak men create hard times create strong men, and the cycle goes around. So everything that's happened in my life, all the challenges that I've had, all the setbacks I've had, have made the man that sits here today. And I'm proud of that person. And I think now you can look other people in the eye and I'm like, you're a man on a mission. You're going to get there. We're going to get there. Brendan's had his challenges, Marty. Any man that has made themselves has had challenges. And you look at them now, and rather than whinging about them and being upset about them, I actually embrace them. I'm like, oh, this is just another challenge. And now it's actually going to make me a better man because of it. The relationships, the heartaches, the breakups, losing good athletes, like it all makes you who you are today. And you can either shirk the issue, you can go into your shell, you can go, what next? You're not going to break me. I'm like a cockroach. I ain't going anywhere. You're not going to be able to kill me.
And that's the kind of mindset you need to have. And I'm hoping like someone listening to this also, the goal I have with every episode is that if I can change one person, if I can give the tools with the guests, to one person to fully transform their lives, so take action into that thing that they know they should be doing but they haven't done, the mission is accomplished. Like that's how you create slowly an army of people that will make the world a better place. But I think that's very important as well. Like obviously we're talking from the perspective as a man, because we know in order to become a man you need to be tested. That's the reality of it. You need to go through hard things. You need to build resilience. You need to build mental toughness. And guess what? If you don't do it, the world will keep you accountable for it. I haven't told this story because I wanted to dedicate a full episode, but I told you about my recent injury on my knee and ankle. I get to the hospital, like they just told me I'm most likely gonna need surgery, and then she leaves. I've never had surgery now, like you were saying,
15 grand, bro. Where you getting that from?
Not only that like just knowing that my business still is not at a point where it doesn't need me. So like that's an issue. And I'm just thinking about all these things like, fuck, what about the business? How am I going to do with the shoots that we have coming up? I have someone depending on me to be able to provide work, all this stuff. And it like my man is in a different place. And the doctor comes in and she's just setting the crutches for me, and she kind of gave me one, and I'm trying to set the thing to my size, but I'm not thinking about that. I'm just kind of doing it, but my head is just like, fuck, what am I gonna do? What do I do now? And I did the thing wrong. And she grabbed it and she looks at me and she's like, you're a man. You're a man. What do you do here? Like, and basically, and by the way, she had no bad intention or whatever. She was lovely, but it was a hard reality to face in that moment. It brought me straight to the ground. It's like, yes, dude, nobody gives a fuck because you're a man and you have to perform at the highest level, even when the circumstances are not in your favor. So it just brought me back and instantly snapped back out of it. Instead of feeling sorry or thinking about the problems, I became solution oriented. I was like, yeah, I might have my leg broken. I might go through surgery. I was prepared already for the worst, but nobody gives a fuck. What matters right now is what am I going to do about it? That was all I was thinking. Since she told me that, I looked at her and then even my posture, changed. I realized like, as I was thinking all this stuff, even my body language was like coming down, crouching, and just starting to feel sorry about myself and just thinking like, oh, fuck, I just fucked my life or whatever. And suddenly she tells me that, and it brought me to Nelson. It brought me to the man I am. And then I was like, yeah, you're right. I'm a man. That's what I told her. And then I just kept thinking, okay, solution. What am I going to do? And I started putting a plan. Instead, straight away, prepare for the worst. I started putting a plan of what I was going to do to still make money, to still run a business, to, heal myself as quickly as I can. I started putting a plan together to take action as soon as I was out of the hospital. And guess what? This is another thing, dude. Like, that's why you have to be in your full energy. You have to really be in that elite character. She told me, as she's showing me the results of a CT and exam they did to roughly kind of, they needed an MRI, but they could tell roughly how bad it was through that. And she told me like, dude, if you're very lucky, you won't need surgery. I looked her dead in the eye and I said, oh, good, because I'm the luckiest man alive. She laughed about it. I left. Guess what? Guess who didn't have surgery? Dude, that's how it works. I truly believe that the mind will get you to accomplish anything, will prevent you from injuries, will get you out of the worst 100%. Case scenarios if you really have a strong mind. And like I said, I was prepared to go through surgery and all this shit, but I just knew, like, not right now, man.
And you've also got a network. Plans. You've got a network of elite health professionals around that can help you too.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the other thing. That's another important thing to touch base on. You need to focus on building a strong network. It took me way too long to understand this. I burned some relationships in the past because I might maybe just thinking about money, or I was thinking the short term. Man, think always big picture and always be a value provider. Don't look to take, don't look to even, how can you make this relationship the same exact exchange. Just focus on providing, because guess what? Every high net worth and high value individual just wants to provide value as well. 100%. So if you find someone that is just taking, then you know that guy is not the guy that you want to be talking to. So, but when you start giving a lot to someone like Joy or someone like your mentor or someone like me, I feel the need that I have to provide you with value because you're providing so much value. It has to be a symbiotic exchange. So man, focus on building a strong network. Like you were saying it kind of jokingly, like, you know, I have lawyers, I have the best property developers, I have, you know,
business
fitness
coaches, builders, mental skills coaches,
but you do your phone, all the contacts you have in there is worth millions of dollars.
100%.
So, you know,
and
you
it's made me
focus on
millions
that.
of dollars. It's made me millions of dollars as well. And I'm grateful, but like what you said before, when I was building these relationships, I wasn't looking at what I could get out of them. I never, and I guess I went in there with pure intention. So I know some people talk about networks like, I've got to become mates with this guy, so I'm going to go and, like, you know, almost blow him off. And it's like everyone that I've met from like I met you and I was like, mate, I love this guy's energy, mate. I want you to meet my guys. I love what you're doing. I reckon you're going to provide some value. But I wasn't actively trying to be mates or, you know, like network with other coaches or whatever. And everything sort of, it's evolved organically. And then it's like, I'm going to do my job. I've got some unique skill sets. And as you said before, you've got to provide some value. So if you have mastery in your particular area, other people are going to find that valuable, and you're going to attract the best business coaches, the best property developers, the best builders, the best athletes, the best mental skills coaches, the best luck bubble guys. That's for you, Kirky boy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that
Very
you're 100%.
keen to have him on, by the way.
Oh, dude, you guys are going to be blown away by that stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's really important too, mate. And, yeah, but you're going into it with the right intentions and you're trying to provide value. I think that's what people... And I think people get a feel for that too, you know what I mean? I think some people are really perceptive. So...
What advice would you give to someone? Because I think I always try to also touch to the thinking about the young Nelson. You know, that I think his mindset still needed to work quite a lot. It needed to be sharpened. It needed to be expanded by a different perspective. And in countries like this, I also meet too many entitled men and men that are like the media and everything around them have convinced them that they need to be weak, that it's okay to be fat, that it's you know, it's okay to be crying all the time, that it's okay to be depressed and all these things that I just see how they're turning them into very weak individuals that in the end are not able to build any dream life that they want to have. So what advice would you give to someone like that?
Weak individuals, like you just discussed then, are easy to control. They're not fully fledged, high octane alpha males. Now, we don't need everyone to be alpha males, but every man should take pride in being strong. Every man should be able to protect his family. Every man, in my opinion, should be able to provide for his family. So that means his ability to build a business or work. To be able to protect his family, so capable of violence in the most positive way. And you're not going out fighting people at a bar, but if your life depends upon it and you've got your partner and your kids there, you can protect them. Every man should have a strong body, and all these things, you can do this. And you said, what advice would I give to my younger self? I guess would be to back myself in and believe in myself, because, and it's a great question, how do you get confident? You know how I was like, oh, Nelson's always been confident. Joey's always been confident. No. And I think about my athletes, like another one of the traits the athletes have is the ability to be confident. Like Courtney Hancock hadn't won a thing all year, and it gets down to the last event of the series of the Summer of Surf, and she's just been unlucky. Like she missed a wave, or girls get away from the back, and I'm just like, you know, you're not doing anything wrong, Court. Like you're working so hard, you're strong in the gym, you're hitting PBs, you're diligent. It's going to happen for you. Just building her up, you're hitting PBs. So all these small wins in the gym and in life, it develops that confidence. So sure enough, last event, Summer of Surf series, she wins the thing, she wins the event, wins the bonus, and picks up a car. In the last event, wins the series. But that confidence is developed over years of doing the work. It's developed over years of little small wins. Same with us in business, mate. Like, you know, the first little development, you have a little win. Then you think, oh, geez, what if I do a bigger one? Mate, 16 units is nothing compared to, say, 600 units or 6,000 units. Yeah. But the advice I'd give myself would be to back myself in. And if you're a good human and you have the right values, morals, and ethics, and if you treat people with respect and do the right thing, you have integrity, you follow through on your word, you do what you say you're going to do, the right people will find you. And especially, and if you do the wrong thing, you screw people over, it'll also have its way of finding itself out. And I believe in karma. I believe in karma if you treat other people how you want to be treated. But yeah, build a strong body, build a strong mind, develop a business, go after your dreams. Don't take no for an answer, but really test yourself to see what you're capable of, because you've got to be, self-actualization. You have to become everything you can possibly be, because otherwise there's going to be that regret. There's going to be, if you hold yourself back, but you want to see how far you can go, both physically, financially, relationally, emotionally, spiritually. You really push yourself and just see what you're capable of, because remember Eamon Wolf said, he goes, the body always gives up before the mind does.
Yes.
And which means you've always got 20-30% more than what you think you've got. So in the gym, when I've got my athletes, I'm like, you're not done yet, keep going.
Yeah.
One more, keep going. Two more, three more. You're going to stop 5 reps ago. We've just got another 5 reps out.
Yeah.
So your body gives up before your mind does.
Yeah.
So in life, in business, you can always work more, you can work harder, you can work smarter, you can train more, you've always got more than what you think you've got. So whenever you've got this ceiling, you've always got another 20% above it. So don't stop. Keep going through. And I guess the other thing is, know what success looks like. What does success look like for you? And I remember Brendan was great with this. He said, Joey, you can look successful, and a lot of people look successful. They might have a nice watch, they might have a nice car. I've met a few guys like this, no judgment, but they've got no assets. They don't own any income producing assets. So you look successful. Or you might be a guy that drives an older car. You might not be flashing the bling or the watches or whatever, but you might have $10 million worth of real estate that no one even knows about. So the difference between, Brendan always says, there's a difference between looking good. Oh, he looks good, he's going nowhere. Or you got the guy that's, just humble, just cruising along, but he can retire tomorrow and he can never have to work a day in his life again. But you wouldn't know that guy. He might not have the flash car or the flash bling, because he just might be a little bit more understated, just flying under the radar. Yeah. So, looks can be deceiving, but looking good, going nowhere. And Brendan also said, Joe, what do you want, success or significance? He goes, you might be the most successful guy on paper, but the impact you've had on the people, all those athletes you've worked with, the beautiful videos you've produced, and the money that you've made your clients, what sort of significance are you going to have in society? Would anyone even care if you died tomorrow? Yeah. And that's not to say go and try that. It's just saying, what impact are you having on your clients? What impact are you having on a day-to-day basis with your family and your friends? And I see what you're doing, mate, what you're doing. I'm so proud of you, brother. You're having a crack. And I know it's all going to happen for you. I've got we've hedged our bets. We know that you're going to win. So... And it's beautiful to see, mate, but you're getting around the right people, you're doing the right things, and you're investing in yourself. And you spoke about before with your business coaching, when people come and work with us, I don't see it as a cost. And when people work with you, it shouldn't be a cost. It's an investment. And investment stands for I invest in me, and the best investment anyone could ever make is in themselves. I'll never stop anyone investing in personal development or self-help or a strength and conditioning program or a financial investment program. I'd never stop anyone doing that stuff, because you're always going to get a return provided you apply what you've learned. And that's where, the forehand of social media has been so powerful, mate, because of, as I learned, the video work that we've done on the social media stuff, it's like real estate on the internet. It's there forever. No one can take it away from you. It's done. The work's done once, but it's seen multiple times. So, mate, thank you so much for all your help, mate, with helping us get out there into the world and to propagate our message. It's changed, pleasure, mate. It's helped change the landscape and dynamics of our business. As I said, the previous 10 years, the business was just cruising along, and as I said, I was sort of more focused on the property aspect, acquisition side of things, and the business is still there going well, but the last sort of 12 months has just gone to another level, mate, and that's as a result of the video work that that you guys have done for us. So, mate, it's been absolutely epic, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of it down the line, bro. We're just getting started.
Yeah, and that's also thank you for saying all of that, because I think that's also awesome for other filmmakers or creatives to hear how much your work actually matters. I think a lot of creatives especially don't understand the impact that your work has on your clients when it's done right. Like you said something, we filmed a testimonial with Joy this week, and you said a line that it has stuck in my head, and it just made me so stoked of what we're doing. Like you said, without the videos there will be no business right now. So what do you think about the power of business, of video on business?
The power of video, and this is why I wanted to hammer home this point, but it's been a game changer, because I had a chat to Geordie. Shout out to Geordie from Athletes Authority. He was the guy that said, Joey, you're great at, you're very good at what you do, but no one knows about you because, you haven't sort of moved into the next 21st century. He's like, mate, your website's from 2003, bro. And it wasn't as a result of not having the funds to do it. It wasn't the top of mind awareness because my focus was elsewhere. It was still driving traffic. We still got a waiting list of athletes that waited to train with us for 6 months in advance. So, but basically what Geordie said, he goes, Joey, the video stuff for you, and because I said, mate, like our business has just grown exponentially over the last sort of 8 to 12 months since we started using video. And he said, Joey, he goes, it was always going to happen. He said, it was so easy because you've got years and years of experience, years and years of results. He said, mate, it was always, but he goes, the power of social media for business, it's a double-edged sword. And he said, if you're great at what you do, it'll propagate that message and it'll happen. And he said, exactly what's happened for you, Joe. You're going to have people banging on your door. You're going to have a wait list of athletes. But he said it also is a magnifier for people that are not as good. He said, if you're not as professional, you haven't got mastery or don't really understand your industry or not an expert, it can also propagate that message in a negative light. Yeah. So he said that, he goes, the reason it's worked so well for you, Joe, is you've had 25 years of success. You've got all the testimonies, you've got all the athletes, you've got your qualifications. But he said, if you haven't got that stuff and you're trying to wing it and you're trying to fake it, he said, it'll propagate that message faster too and you'll get found out a lot quicker. Yeah. So it's a double-edged sword. So, but again, if you've got good creators and good directors and you know your content, he said, mate, it's been a game changer. So I'm so happy with it, mate. And I said it's allowed me to come into the 21st century of social media. So,
what would you say to other business owners that haven't started using the power of video right now for their business?
Yeah, it's something that you need. Like, you definitely need to do it. And again, being self-conscious or fearing the fear of looking like an idiot on camera, like, just be yourself. But people are not buying USP, people are buying me. They want to know, okay, this is my guy. Like, some people look at my videos and might be like, no, this guy's not for me. Or some people are like, yeah, this is my guy, this guy. So it allows people, I think, to connect with you on a higher level or on another level, because rather than just being a faceless, nameless business, there's a front man or a front person for the business who they get to meet. They get to meet you before they meet you, sort of thing. So they've got, oh yeah, I've seen you on the internet, I've seen you on your videos, I've seen you on your website, I've seen you on the social media. I'm getting to meet you now. So it's a good way for people to get introduced to you. And I think that everyone should be doing it for their business. I think it's something that I know it's something that's extremely valuable and it's going to give you the edge. I've certainly seen, all I can speak of is the power that it's had for us. And I've been blown away by it. Like, I thought we were pretty good and successful before that. But now, mate, it's, as I said, every day there's more inquiries. We just haven't got enough hours in the week to be able to work with these athletes, which is a shame. So maybe I need to grow my business. Maybe I need to get more staff. But we do have, shout out to Bretto too. Like, some of our coaches we've got are phenomenal. Like Bretto, you do great work. He's been looking after all the NRL guys, the fighter guys. We've got Corey, who's our physio, doing some great work. Jackson's killing it out of our facility as well. So these guys will probably be on here one day as well. But yeah, just super humble to have and attract just amazing people, whether it be, as I said, it comes back to the best of the best. We call them Bobs. The best video makers, the best filmmakers, the best coaches, the best property developers, the best business coaches. Like, if you surround yourself with just the best people and you are one of the best, it's so much easier to be successful and to get where you want to go. If you're hanging around a bunch of morons and idiots, you're not going to probably get to where you need to go. So I just think about, I'm just so grateful for every single person that I've got in my life that supports me, that backs me in. And that we share our ideas and knowledge with each other, you know what I mean? Like, we've all got unique skills, and that's kind of how we work. It's if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, you need people around you that are going to help get you there. So I just think that, the people I've had in my life, I wouldn't be where I am without them, mate. Like, all those people, like meeting Marty the developer, meeting Brendan the business coach, I just would not. I don't know where I'd be. Like, they were all people that I met that helped me along on my journey, and I'm just so grateful. And I never forget the people that helped me out. Even like Matty Kennedy from the Brisbane Lions, who got me in up there. He got me my first gig at the Southport Sharks. I never forget, I messaged him the other day and said, hey, bro, I just want to check in and say good day, see how you're doing. And I said, mate, I remember what you told me. He goes, Joey, the boys aren't going to listen to you because you're so young. He said that. He goes, mate, don't tell them what to do. That's going to tell you to fuck off. So I said, he goes, all you can do, go and spend 90 seconds with each one of them at the start of training. Hey, Nelson, how are you, man? How's the missus? How's the wife? How's the kids?
Nice.
He said, you're going to build relationships with them, Joey. And then, after probably 12 weeks, they'll be like, oh, what do you do, Joey? Oh, mate, I'm the strength and conditioning coach. I'm going to get you guys fit. We're going to win a premiership. All of a sudden, all those guys that I built those relationships with, hey, Joey, I've got these questions about diet. So rather than me telling him what to do as a 21-year-old who was trying to grow a goatee, telling 30-year-olds what to do, he said, mate, build the relationships with them and genuinely care. And I think that's been one of the secrets to our success as well. Is that, like you, mate, you genuinely care about your athletes. You go watch them play, you watch them win, you watch them lose, you're there to console them. you're there with them, mate. You ride and die with them. And I think that that's one of the cornerstones of why our business has been so successful, because, and also the relationships, mate. Like, I'll drop you off a book, mate. Like, I'm like, mate, I think this book's going to be perfect for you. And you fucking read the thing. So, you know what I mean? Just small stuff like that. It doesn't cost you a lot of money, but you're like, this guy's got some potential. He's got some talent. I want to invest in him.
Nice.
And I think that's, So, Matty Kennedy, thanks, brother. I haven't forgot about you. So,
On that note, what's the best advice you have ever received?
don't do anything that your mum wouldn't be proud of. So don't do anything stupid. Just think, if you were doing this and if your mum saw you, would you be proud of it? So, mum, I love you. You looked after me. I'm looking after you guys now. But that's a really good question. The best advice, I mean, there could be different aspects of that to different parts of your life. The best advice was in terms of business and sales and marketing, the two keys in business. That was Brendan Nichols 101. Marketing gets them to the door. Sales gets them through the door. Number 2, don't look good. Don't be looking good going nowhere. So don't pretend to be successful and look successful when you're actually killing the goose that laid the golden egg, which basically means that rather than blowing your money on trying to look successful, invest in income producing assets, so passive income streams, because that is success when you don't have to work. Because if you don't have to work, you don't have to take shit off anyone. You can do what you want anytime, anywhere, with pure freedom. And remember what you're doing it for, like the end outcome. What's the end outcome? Food. Focus on the outcome. The end goal is to have enough passive income so you don't have to work, and then you can look after your family. The other advice that Brennan, is make sure that you always are giving as well with your time. Be generous with your time and don't expect anything in return, and be generous. Money, he said, is a magnifier. If you're an arsehole with that, you'll be a bigger arsehole with it. If you're a great person with it, you'll be an even more magnificent person with it. So Brennan's thing was always, you have to give whatever you want to get, do. So if you want more love, give more love. If you want more money, give money away.
Yes.
It seems counterintuitive, but it works. And, God bless my mum. Every time I've acquired a property, she's got me another sponsor child for World Vision. So I've got, I don't know, Mum, how many have we got now? Probably 16 kids that we sponsor, that we pay out, we give money to and donate to every month, just because, I believe that I've been lucky and I've been privileged to be able to be in the position I'm in, and there's other people out there that aren't as lucky as what I am. So, and you never miss the money. And the funny thing is, mate, like, it always comes back in some way, shape or form. You give time, you get time. You give video, it just happens. It's weird how the world works. I think it's just the universal nature of the universe. And I've seen that, it just works. And
what's the worst advice you have ever received?
Oh, probably Donald Trump. Mate, when I actually got to have lunch with Donald Trump, true story, in 2011. I had lunch with him in a room of 30 people. True story. We should have talked about that. So basically, Donald Trump is at the Young Achievers Congress in Sydney, I think in 2011. And Donald Trump, we're having dinner at lunch with him. And he gets up and gives his keynote presentation. And he goes, you guys should be, he said, number one, Australia, you guys should be screwing China for the resources. They need your resources. Jack the prices up. And I was like, he goes, you should be screwing them. And he goes, and someone asked him, they said, mate, what's the best business advice you've ever given? He goes, if someone screws you over, you screw them over twice as hard. And then I'm sitting there and I got shivers down my spine. I'm like, and then literally like a decade later, this guy's like the president of America. So he's like, if they screw you over, you screw them over twice as hard. He goes, that way you don't look weak. And I was just like,
That is great.
So I don't know whether that's the best advice or the worst advice, but then it's kind of mate. But then the other thing too, on the
that's
on the
hilarious.
clip side, Donald, I actually went to when I was in Washington in 2019. I was actually out the front of his out the front of the compound there in Washington at the White House, and I was doing push-ups. And I'm like, Trumpy, you should be out here doing some exercise with me, not eating those Macca's burgers you've been renowned for. But Brendan also said something smart as well. He goes, you look at Donald Trump's life. He's always got drama. Now, I don't do drama. I don't do drama with women. I don't do drama in business. So he's like, you look at how many lawsuits. There's always people after Donald because Donald's that sort of, and we laugh at him because he's entertaining, but he's that sort of guy. Where I've looked at how Brennan's managed his life, and Brennan just sort of flows like the ocean, in and out with the tide. Doesn't have dramas because you don't want drama. You don't want to go to sleep at night with 17 lawsuits on your back and having to fight this stuff. So Brennan's always said, pick your mark. And he said, pick your mark and know when it's time to fight, but know when it's time to walk away. Like, how is this going to serve me by going to war with this person? Is this going to enhance my life? If it's going to cost you $1 billion, it might be worthwhile doing it. But he goes, know what to engage in and know what to disengage in, because that way you're not distracted with your time.
Yes.
He goes, you can never get your
100%,
time back.
yeah.
He said, mate, someone screwed you over $100. Is it worth chasing them up over it? Maybe on principle, but do you really want the drama? Again, something will probably happen to those people that's going to get them screwed over $100. So I'm not saying that you're weak. I'm just saying know what to engage with, know where to put your time.
Yeah.
So that way you're not like, running around doing stuff that's not productive. You know, you can make that $100 back in 30 seconds. You know, someone did the wrong thing. They'll get sorted out.
I think that's a great
makes
place
sense.
to finish this. Brother Joy, thank you so much for coming in. That
Thank
was
you, mate.
awesome. We're going to have to do a round two because there's still
mate,
so many
I'm
questions
just-
I wanted to ask. I knew it was going to be an
sweating. I'm
in-depth
nervous.
conversation. Thank you so much for making this time. I hope you guys got some value. Where can people find you if they want to get in touch with you, if they want to train with you, if they want to learn from you?
Cool. So we've got our website, ultimatesportsperformance.com.au. It has been updated now. It's not the same 2003 website that we had that was built in 2003, so it actually works. We are doing a bit more stuff on social media. I'm looking forward to being able to get some of this stuff and being able to share it as well. But check it. I think it's Instagram. What is it? / Ultimate Sports Performance.
Ultimate Sports Performance.
And then we've got a Facebook page as well. So I'm not that active on there. We're getting better with it. We are producing more content. And as I said, we love what we do. If you're serious and committed and want to get access to the best results in the country or the world, if I had kids that I was aware of, I would have them training with me.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, you definitely should, because he works with top level athletes from Australia and even from overseas as well,
I
right?
had I had an equestrian vaulter, some soccer players in the EPL over there as well. It's just amazing, mate. The number of different sports like equestrian vaulting. I'm like, I get an email like, what the fuck is equestrian vaulting? And this guy's like, mate, I do backflips on a moving horse. I'm like, are you insane?
Yeah.
And I'm like, is that a sport?
But we can help you.
Give me a minute, send me through some footage and we'll have a look. And we can help you. So James, shout out to you, bro.
Nice. Well, if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to leave us a thumbs up, subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow us on every social media platform at The Creative Grid. I'm at Nelfalev on every social media. And please, if you enjoy the podcast, give the extra mile, leave an Apple podcast review. That's what helps the most to get the podcast out to more people. I will see you on the next episode. Good vibes for everyone.
Peace out. Great,
How
man.
is
That was
that,
fantastic,
brother?
brother.
Yeah.
I'm going to make sure that every one of my fucking clients has to leave a review. So there's going to be, mate, I'm telling you,
Legend.
there's going to be 40 fucking reviews. I'm telling every single client has to leave a review. Otherwise, they're not allowed to train with me.